So yeah, we're going to let AI stir the pot a little bit. And so what we're doing is I'm going to ask AI a simple question. Hey everybody, welcome back to D3. It's been a while, guys. I'm Eric. We got Jeff here.
And I'm Jeff.
Been a while. We have been just crazy busy. Apologize for that. But we haven't forgotten our mission here. We have been talking over the last few weeks mainly about trying to figure out what the best sci-fi TV shows were during the 70s and 80s, basically the Gen X period. And we're going to continue that discussion here today. We're kind of altering course a little bit. We've talked about so far 4 specific shows, right? If you've seen our previous episodes, we've got the $6 Million Man, Battlestar Galactica, Ultraman, and Buck Rogers in the 25th century. We're going to discuss what would be the best episodes to focus on in the future, but we're also hoping that you guys will throw in some comments and let us know if you agree with this and if there are other shows that you think deserve some very specific attention. But before we do that, we're going to try something new today. Jeff, tell them about D3 Argues, please.
We're going to leverage AI tonight to give us a discussion, so a theme, a topic. Basically, it's going to give us 2 sides of a coin, and we're going to have to argue both. We're going to have to argue, one side or the other.
So yeah, we're going to let AI stir the pot a little bit. And so what we're doing is I'm going to ask AI a simple question. I'm on ChatGPT right now, and I'm going to ask them. I want to ask good old ChatGPT to give us a fun topic to argue over about Gen X sci-fi TV shows. Let's see what they're going to tell us that we get to argue about today. How about which Gen X sci-fi TV show had the most influential impact on the genre? So, for instance, The X-Files or Star Trek: The Next Generation. Ooh, that's a little too restrictive. So, Jeff, what do you think? What sci-fi TV show had the most influential impact on the genre?
Star Trek.
Star Trek: The Next Generation, huh?
No, okay. The original.
Oh,
Star
the
Trek,
original.
The original.
Oh, okay, all right. But the X-Files, it kind of embodied the whole conspiracy paranoia that we see all around us today. I'm not blaming X-Files for it, but I think a lot of its popularity was because it tapped early into the whole what's the government up to with everything these days and the cover-ups and all that. And I think that's one of the reasons why it was popular. So Star Trek, why was it popular? What was the impact it had?
Well, you can take for example, it was the first interracial kiss on television.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. It's we leave a whole lot of that up to Shatner, just being what he is. They also they carried so many different of the major themes that you see in the genre. There's the Brannigan's Law. You cannot disturb an existing planet's people. They also they got a little controversial, well, a lot controversial here and there. But for example, there was an episode in the original where they mentioned at the beginning of the episode that it appeared that the people that they were not going to interfere with, that they interfered with, were sun worshipers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
at the end, they mentioned it was the Son of God that they worshipped.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, I know. That was an interesting episode. That was one with the Roman soldiers with automatic weapons, as I recall.
That sounds right. Yeah, yep. That sounds right. But this was basically they were carrying the sci-fi torch at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
That's my side of that story.
Okay. No. I mean, fair enough. I mean, obviously, when X-Files came around, it there was plenty of sci-fi. It was well established and all sort and what have you. But I think it did a good job of expanding or opening doors, I guess, to just merging drama and sci-fi and they went from the monster of the week but they still in the background had that overarching conspiracy storyline going on that just kept kept you coming back trying until they kind of unveiled what was happening next. Yeah.
The thing is, I would argue that they did better as a monster of the week, creature of the week
Oh no, I
uh,
disagree with that.
series.
That's
Ah,
I
yeah,
can't wait for an
that,
X-Files episode. There will be an X-Files episode that we focus on specifically, and we will argue about that. I think you're dead wrong on that. All right, I'm going to say that you probably win this discussion, Jeff. I think there's very little that can claim the impact on pop culture that beyond what Star Trek did. So, nice job, nice job. Here's what we're going to do next, guys. We've talked about 4 episodes, like I said, $6 Million Man, Battlestar Galactica, Ultraman, Buck Rogers. So Jeff, I'm going to ask you. We're going to do an exercise here. Of those 4, you got to tell me what your most favorite down to your least favorite. Not meaning you hate it, but of the 4, if you had to put a number, and you do, what's going to be your number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4?
okay. In the number 4 spot, Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers, number 4. Okay.
Yep. And in the number 1 spot are it's all the others. I really don't want to have to decide.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Okay. So, $6 Million Man it has got to be number 1 because not only was it an awesome TV series, and he jumped and he ran and he had a bionic eye. Um, he was in Scrooged with Bill Murray, and that's just you can't top that. So right now we have 1 and 4. I will say that while I was watching Ultraman was the number 1 show that I watched. And while I was watching Battlestar Galactica was the number 1 show that I watched. And probably for longevity and replayability, I would probably watch Battlestar Galactica over Ultraman, but Ultraman just has to be in the number 2 position.
Okay, Ultraman number 2.
Yeah.
All right. So you have $6 Million Man as your number 1, and Buck Rogers is your number 4. I had placed $6 Million Man as number 1. I agreed with you. And Battlestar Galactica is number 2. Buck Rogers 3, and I got Ultraman on the bottom. Not because I didn't like it. Just I had to put a number 4 somewhere. Okay. So here's what's going to happen next. Your number 1 and my number 1 are both $6 Million Man. That doesn't surprise me. Your number 4 is Buck Rogers. Mine's Ultraman. So I am going to now name to you a bunch of sci-fi shows, and all you have to tell me is this show better than $6 Million Man or worse, and is it better than your number 4, Buck Rogers? Okay. Okay. You ready? All right.
Yes. Ready as you'll ever be.
V.
Wow. V was too short to be better than the $6 Million Man, but it would fall into the number 2 place.
Or
not quite as good as.
Not quite as good. Okay, so
it's a great storyline, great show.
I'm going to say it's about equal because remember they had like two or three miniseries, and then they had the single season series, and then the reboot that doesn't count. Okay, Knight Rider.
Okay. I'm gonna put not as good. It's close. It has the cool protagonist and the cool technology, but no, it's close.
But it's better than Buck Rogers, would you say?
It would fall into the number 2 position.
Okay, I'm going to put
anything. Okay, let's clear this up. Anything you mention is going to be better than Buck Rogers.
Man, that's harsh. Okay.
So, okay, except for Wilma. Wilma's no, she's better than Buck Rogers too. Yeah, no. Well.
So Knight Rider, I watched it every week. I wouldn't miss it. All right. Now, here's coming up, because I know what the answer to this next one is for you, Jeff. So you're allowed to admit your inadequacy here, okay? Quantum Leap. Admit it. You didn't see it.
It was on Friday nights. I didn't watch TV.
You didn't watch Quantum Leap, which is fine.
I needed the money.
Quantum Leap was just it was fascinating. I didn't watch it regularly. I didn't catch it all the time. But
Everyone I saw, I liked.
it was brainy. Yeah, it was a really
Yeah,
brainy show, and that's like one of the best. They really did a good job. So I would say that is definitely a. Would you? I'm not going to say better than $6 Million Man, but I think it's one of those shows that a lot of folks today would remember.
it would bump my number 3 position.
Greatest American Hero.
Oh wow. Still doesn't have $6 million man beat, but I would easily pop that one in. Ah, yeah, I would pop it in number 2. That falls in line like with what I was saying. If I while I was watching it, that was my number 1 show.
Right.
Um,
No, and don't forget the music,
oh,
the theme
that
song.
George Costanza even had that as his outgoing message.
And I didn't. That's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, I didn't.
And
It bothered me so much.
and I didn't realize this. I was looking at some trivia, and you probably know this, but it only aired for there are 3 seasons of that. It started off in March of '81, and first season was kind of an abbreviated season. I think there's like only 9 episodes, but it started in March of '81, ended of May of '81. The last 4 to 6 episodes, they changed his last name from Hinckley to Henley.
Oh, wow. Yo, wow. Terrible timing.
So yeah,
Wow.
so I guess you figured out why they did that.
Yeah, because that guy that tried that shot John Lennon.
President Lennon, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
For the sake of
Jodie
okay, I'll
Foster.
quit playing games. Yeah, it was Jodie Foster and Reagan. I was just smarting off about. It took me a minute to remember John Lennon's name to get somebody else that was killed, and then I wanted to say Yoko instead of Jodie, and I
Gotcha.
thought, I I appear dumb enough as it is. I probably should stop this.
Yeah, Hinckley. So the attempt on Reagan's life was the end of March, and they scrambled. They did a lot of voiceovers. They changed his name, and then by season 2, they figured the Fuhrer was over, and they changed his name back to Hinckley.
That's funny that they were doing some voiceovers because that's not the first time a K has caused a problem. Uh, in Spike Milligan's Bridge Over the River Kwai, he had to go back to the cutting floor and cut the K for Bridge Over the River Y
Oh, right.
because they were threatened with a lawsuit.
So yeah, for those of you, Bridge Over the River Y was a radio parody of Bridge Over the River Kwai, right?
Why?
So yeah, it's a radio show comedy by what is it called? Milligan,
Spike Milligan
Spike Milligan, yeah,
and yeah,
yeah. So
Peter
that's funny,
Sellers.
and they didn't have the digital editing capability, right? So
They
they literally had
literally
to
with
go
a
in there and
razor
cut.
blade and tape.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So something else I learned was that the actor who played Ralph Hinckley,
Yeah.
William Catt, and Robert Culp was the FBI agent, Bill Maxwell. They didn't like each other. The actors didn't like each other at first. They didn't get along, and
Huh.
they used that animosity in the first, when they first started, because they didn't really get along in the show either. As the characters weren't supposed to get along. So they said, okay, fine,
Right.
we'll just ride this. But then by the time it was over with, they were really good friends. They eventually kind of came to terms with each other and what have you. But yeah, supposedly they did not care for each other. Okay,
Wow.
so Greatest American Hero, great show. Not better than $6 Million Man, but it's definitely up there. Definitely, I think. A superior sci-fi show. Remember, he got a suit from Aliens, right? This was not
That's sci-fi.
Yep, it is sci-fi. We already talked about a little bit X-Files.
Yeah. X-Files. at the time I was watching it, it was the show to watch, and I would displace the $6 Million Man. Um, I would put it in the number one position.
I would too. X-Files definitely, and we already established we're going to make a video out of this. All right, Next Generation, Star Trek, Next Generation. What do you think?
Never watched it.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I watched reruns of it later. It came out later in the '80s when we graduated high school, and it was like not a good time for me to be watching shows because we were going to college, establishing, yeah. So it wasn't a good time for us. I don't think. So I do, but going back and having watched a bunch of reruns and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, obviously, I think it's a fantastic show. But what I don't know, I'm not a big enough fan to be able to say, yeah, the first episodes were the best, and the later ones, they flamed out, or did they come into their own after the first, because like Wesley Crusher, one of the characters in there, I understand he was kind of a whiny toad, but by the time he leaves the show, he's a more developed character, and people like him.
Okay, so let me throw a series out there for you
All
that I
right.
bet you don't have on your list. Mork and Mindy.
I have that on my list. I
Okay.
have it. That was the last one. I was going to throw that out as a curveball there. It's not the $6 Million Man, but it was
No.
fun to watch. I would not miss it at all.
No.
And even as a kid, I really enjoyed the Jonathan Winters when Jonathan Winters came and joined the cast. Though I don't know if that has the staying power.
See, I'm the opposite. I was bang alongside the show on up until Jonathan Winters got there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, looking back, I didn't know this stuff, but one of the things that caused the show to slump was the producers finally reining, or the director, I forget, finally reining Robin Williams in and making him quit ad-libbing.
Oh, right.
That ruined the humor in the show because
Sure.
he just, you can't touch the man.
Right.
You can't. It's
He's the funny guy. Leave him alone. Yep.
yeah.
Okay, Bionic Woman.
Not the Bionic Man, because at the time, she was a chick. It's not as cool as a guy.
I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I wasn't as fervent a fan.
I wasn't as married to the Bionic Woman as I was the Bionic Man.
Right. But I mean, the androids with the faces,
Fembots.
the fembots, yeah, the fembots, and yeah, they definitely had some pretty memorable moments there. So I mean, I put it up there close to the $6 Million Man, but I don't think it's quite as good.
No.
All right, now here's one for you, and this Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Oh, wow. Okay, not $6 Million Man, but number 2 position.
Yeah.
If I was going to watch it, that was incredible.
Now, here is something that shocked me about that show. When do you think it ran?
I remember it either being in black and white or only having a black and white to watch it with. So I'm going to guess first run was late 60s, early 70s.
Late 60s, like 66,
Right.
68 or something like that.
That
I did
Yeah.
I was doing a search just to see make sure I didn't miss anything. I said, best sci-fi 1970s, and I couldn't find Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. I'm like, dude, you guys are screwing up here. What's going on? And so
how did you miss?
And then I did
Voyage?
a search on Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and saw it was the 60s. I mean, that show, the Flying
Yeah.
Sub, holy
The
mackerel.
Flying Sub,
I
man.
mean, that was a great show. Those of you who might
Oh.
not be as familiar with it, that was a show about a scientific expedition. I never quite understood what their mission was, or I don't remember.
I thought they were Navy. 'Cause they
Well,
fired
I mean, they were
torpedoes.
military on there, but they were
Okay.
always going after things, and so they were, yeah, so they were military, but they were always like exploring, going whatever. But they had a submarine, a tiny submarine that would leave the ship or leave the sub, and they would fly off. But they would always get aborted by aliens and sea creatures, and then they would have to go get the laser guns from the armory. I remember the army. I always because they always would say we have to go get the armory, or we have to go get the lasers. And like, yes, laser time. So they would go get their lasers and.
I always liked how whenever a depth charge went off near them,
Oh,
just the what are not bottle rockets, Roman candles shooting out of the control panel. So there's, I mean, you can see the actors; they're literally guarding their face from these flaming sparks flying out of the
but
control panels.
I caught the cast of the crew of the Enterprise because whenever the Enterprise got hit, they're all over the place. Yeah. So Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. I absolutely loved that show.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
All
guys.
right.
So thanks so much. That's our list. Let us know what you think. There's a lot to do. We got a lot of favorites on here, so we got a few videos to make. I think, Jeff. I don't think
just
we
more.
weeded out too many of that.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for joining. Please like, subscribe, comment on your favorites. Let us know which your favorites were or what your favorites are, and we'll see you again in our next video. Have a great
Later,
night, guys.
gang.